The survey ship Stellar Horizon drifted through the darkness between stars, its sensors prodding the seemingly empty void for anything of interest. Captain Sarah Chen stood at the bridge's main viewport, her dark eyes fixed on the unusual readings that had drawn them off their planned route. After 15 years of deep space survey work, she'd learned to trust her instincts, and something about this sector felt different. "Any change in those gravity readings, Dr. Martinez?" she asked, not turning from the viewport. "Still getting impossible numbers, Captain," the ship's chief scientist replied, his fingers dancing across his console. "According to these readings, we're looking at a gravitational lens effect that shouldn't exist in open space. There's nothing out there massive enough to cause this kind of distortion." But there was something out there. Sarah could feel it in her bones, the same way she'd felt the presence of the Proxima Centauri colonies before their cloaking fields had failed. The void between stars wasn't meant to be empty. Humanity had learned that lesson the hard way during the First Contact War. "Run another deep scan," she ordered. "Focus on the wavelengths we discovered during the Epsilon incident." The bridge crew worked in focused silence, the only sound the soft hum of the ship's systems and the occasional beep of sensor equipment. They'd been tracking these anomalies for 3 days now, following a trail of impossible readings that seemed to defy the laws of physics themselves. "Captain," called out Lieutenant Wong from the sensor station, his voice tight with excitement. "I'm picking up something strange. The gravity distortion isn't random. It's moving in a pattern." Sarah turned from the viewport, crossing to Wong's station in 3 quick strides. The display showed a complex web of gravitational forces, shifting and flowing like water, but with distinct mathematical precision. She'd seen something similar once before, during the discovery of the ruins on Mars. But this was different. This was active, alive. "It's a shield," she breathed, realization dawning. Not just a cloaking field, they're actually bending space itself. As if in response to her words, the void before them shifted. There was no other way to describe it. Space itself seemed to fold, revealing what had been hidden behind its curved fabric. The sight drew gasps from even the most seasoned crew members. A massive structure hung in the darkness, its architecture unlike anything human or alien hands had created before. It wasn't the brutal efficiency of human engineering or the organic curves of known alien design. Instead, it seemed to exist in perfect harmony with the space around it, as if it had grown there naturally. "My God," Martinez whispered. "It's a colony, out here in the middle of nothing." Sarah studied the structure through narrowed eyes. The colony, if that's what it was, appeared to be built around a central spine of crystalline material that pulsed with internal light. Smaller structures branched off in fractal patterns, each one seemingly positioned with mathematical precision. Energy fields flickered between the branches, creating an ever-shifting web of light that reminded Sarah of neural networks. "Are we reading any life signs?" she asked, already knowing the answer. Something this sophisticated couldn't be abandoned. "Thousands," Wong confirmed. "Human readings, mostly. But there's something odd about them. The patterns are different somehow." Before Sarah could respond, a communication request chimed through the bridge speakers. The signal wasn't using any standard protocol, but somehow their systems had automatically translated it. Text scrolled across her command console. "Welcome, Stellar Horizon. We've been expecting you. Please maintain your current position while we establish proper contact protocols. We apologize for any alarm our presence may have caused. We found secrecy to be necessary for our survival." Sarah exchanged glances with her senior staff. In 15 years of survey work, this was unprecedented. Every other hidden colony they'd found had either been hostile or desperate. This felt different. "Send standard recognition codes," she ordered. "Let them know we're operating under Survey Protocol 7. The protocol was meant for first contact with potentially advanced civilizations, appropriate given what they were seeing. The response came almost immediately. "Recognized and acknowledged, Captain Chen. We're transmitting coordinates for a safe approach vector now." Please follow them precisely. The gravitational architecture is unforgiving of errors. As the coordinates appeared on their navigation displays, Sarah made a decision that would change the course of human history. Helm, take us in. Nice and slow. Martinez, I want every sensor we have recording. Something tells me we're about to rewrite some physics textbooks. The stellar horizon began its careful approach, threading through invisible corridors in the twisted space around the colony. As they drew closer, more details became visible. The central spine wasn't crystal at all, but some kind of engineered material that seemed to flicker between states of matter. The branching structures housed obvious habitation areas, but they were integrated so seamlessly with their surroundings that it was hard to tell where the structure ended and space began. Captain, Martinez called out, his voice strained. These energy readings, they're operating on principles we've barely theorized. They're not just bending space. They're harmonizing with it somehow. It's like they found a way to make their technology resonate with the fundamental forces of the universe itself. Sarah watched as they passed through layers of the colony's defensive fields, each one more sophisticated than the last. This wasn't just a hidden outpost. It was a testament to human ingenuity pushed to its absolute limits. Whatever had driven these people to build out here in the void, they'd achieved something extraordinary in the process. The final approach took them into a docking structure that seemed to assemble itself around their ship, energy fields and physical matter working in concert to create a perfect seal. As the docking procedures completed themselves with automated precision, Sarah prepared herself for what would surely be the most important first contact of her career. All hands, she announced shipwide, prepare for colonial contact protocols. Remember your training, but be ready to adapt. Something tells me we're about to learn that everything we think we know about space colonization is about to change. As her crew acknowledged the orders, Sarah found herself staring at the strange architecture around them, wondering what chain of events had led humans to build something so extraordinary in the space between stars. She had a feeling they were about to find out, and that the answer would change everything they thought they knew about humanity's place in the universe. Captain, the comm officer called out. They're requesting a meeting. Their representative would like to come aboard. Sarah straightened her uniform, a habit from years of diplomatic contacts. Grant permission. Let's meet our impossible neighbors. The being that stepped through the stellar horizon's airlock defied expectations. Sarah had prepared herself for anything from environmental suits to holographic projections. Instead, she found herself facing a woman who looked remarkably human, save for the subtle shimmer that seemed to follow her movements, like heat waves rising from hot pavement. Captain Chin, the woman said, extending her hand. I'm Dr. Eleanor Wright, Chief Scientist of Haven Colony, though I suppose Chief is a bit formal for a civilization of rebels and dreamers. Sarah shook the offered hand, noting how it felt perfectly solid despite the visual distortion. Dr. Wright, welcome aboard. I have to admit, you're not what we expected to find out here between the stars. Eleanor's laugh carried a musical quality that seemed to resonate with the ship's hull. Captain, we're not what we expected to become either. But necessity breeds innovation, and out here, she gestured to the void beyond the viewport. Necessity is infinite. As they walked to the conference room, Sarah noticed how Eleanor's movements seemed to flow with an almost liquid grace, as if she was perfectly attuned to the ship's artificial gravity. Martinez, walking beside them, couldn't take his eyes off the readings his handheld scanner was producing. Your cellular structure, he blurted out, professional courtesy warring with scientific curiosity. It's shifting. Quantum adaptive engineering, Eleanor explained, seemingly pleased by his observation. We learned early on that traditional human biology wasn't well suited to life in the void. Rather than build environments to suit our bodies, we adapted our bodies to suit the void. The conference room fell silent as the implications sank in. Sarah leaned forward, hands clasped on the table. You've modified your entire population at the quantum level. Modified implies we forced a change, Eleanor corrected gently. We evolved with some careful guidance. The void between stars isn't empty, Captain. It's teeming with dark energy, quantum fluctuations, and possibilities that Earth-bound physics never dreamed of. We learn to dance with these forces rather than fight them. Martinez's scanner beeped insistently. The energy readings from your colony. You're not just surviving out here. You're thriving. But how? The power requirements alone should be impossible. Eleanor smiled. By conventional standards, yes. But we discovered something during our early experiments with quantum engineering. The void isn't just full of dark energy, it's full of potential. We found a way to harmonize with it, to draw upon it not through brute force extraction, but through resonance. She raised her hand, and above the conference table, space itself seemed to ripple. A miniature version of the colony appeared, its crystalline structures pulsing with inner light. Our entire colony operates as a quantum harmonic system. We don't fight against the forces of space-time. We work with them. Our buildings, our technology, even our bodies, all tuned to resonate with the fundamental frequencies of the universe itself. Sarah watched the hologram, noting how the energy patterns matched the impossible readings they detected. This is beyond anything humanity has achieved. Why hide it? This could revolutionize everything. Space travel, colonization, energy production. Eleanor's expression darkened slightly. Because not everyone would use this knowledge wisely, Captain. We've seen what happens when humanity rushes to exploit new technologies without understanding their true nature. Our quantum harmonics could easily be weaponized. Imagine what military forces could do with the ability to manipulate space-time itself. But you're showing us now, Sarah pointed out. Why? Because we don't have a choice anymore. Eleanor waved her hand, and a hologram shifted to show a series of energy patterns spreading through space. We're not the only ones who've learned to listen to the void. Others have detected our presence, not clearly enough to find us yet, but that's only a matter of time. We need allies who understand what's at stake. Martinez leaned forward, studying the patterns. These signatures, they're not natural. No, Eleanor confirmed. They're probe signals, searching for us. Some human, some decidedly not. We've managed to deflect them so far, but they're getting more sophisticated. The void is becoming a very crowded place, Captain, and not everyone out there shares our philosophical approach to its mysteries. Sarah felt a chill run down her spine. You're talking about an arms race. Multiple factions, all trying to harness these quantum principles. Precisely. And if any of them succeed without understanding the true nature of what they're dealing with, Eleanor let the thought hang in the air. The void isn't just a place, Captain. It's a complex system of interconnected forces. Disturb those connections carelessly, and the consequences could ripple across light years. What are you proposing? Sarah asked, though she suspected she already knew the answer. A partnership, Eleanor replied. Your survey fleet has the resources and connections we lack. We have knowledge and technologies that could help humanity navigate the challenges ahead. Together, we might be able to guide this discovery process in a more constructive direction. Before Sarah could respond, alarms blared through both ships. Lieutenant Wong's voice crackled over the intercom. Captain, we're detecting multiple fold space signatures approaching. Configuration unknown, but they're not using any recognized drive systems. Eleanor's form flickered slightly, her quantum-engineered body responding to some unseen stress. They found us sooner than we expected. Captain, whatever you decide about our offer, you need to know something. Those ships out there, they're not just looking for our technology. They're looking for the key to something far more dangerous, the ability to rewrite the laws of physics themselves. Sarah met Eleanor's gaze, seeing the weight of responsibility in the other woman's shimmering eyes. Their conversation about partnership had just become a lot more urgent, and the stakes had risen far beyond the fate of a single hidden colony. The void between stars was about to become a battlefield, and humanity's understanding of reality itself hung in the balance. The next few hours aboard the stellar horizon became a blur of activity as both ships' crews raced against time. Through the main viewport, Sarah watched as the colony's crystalline structure pulsed with increasing intensity, its quantum-engineered systems responding to the approaching threat. "They're using some kind of modified fold space drive," Martins reported, his hands flying over his console. "But the energy signature is wrong. It's too aggressive, too unstable. They're tearing through space rather than working with it." Eleanor nodded grimly. "Brute force application of quantum principles. They've discovered enough to be dangerous, but not enough to understand the consequences of their actions." She turned to Sarah. "Captain, your ship's conventional weapons will be useless against their drive systems. We need to think differently." Sarah studied the tactical display, where multiple contact signatures were converging on their position. "How many ships are we looking at?" 7 confirmed signatures, Wong reported. "Configuration unknown, but mass readings suggest heavy weaponry. They're maintaining fold space compression even at combat speeds. Our normal targeting systems can't get a lock." "Because they're partially out of phase with normal spacetime," Eleanor explained. "It's an effective defense, but it's also incredibly dangerous. They're literally ripping holes in the fabric of space to move faster." Sarah's tactical training kicked in. "Then they're leaving a trail of spatial distortions behind them. Can we use that?" Eleanor's eyes lit up with understanding. Yes. Their drive systems are creating quantum instabilities. If we can match those frequencies, amplify them." She turned to Martinez. "Doctor, how quickly can you modify your sensors to detect quantum wake patterns?" "Give me 10 minutes, Martins replied, already pulling up the sensor configuration protocols. "But what good will tracking their wake do if we can't target them?" "Because we're not going to fight them," Sarah said, the beginnings of a plan forming in her mind. "We're going to let physics do it for us." "Eleanor, your colony manipulates space-time through harmonic resonance, right? Can you create discordant frequencies instead?" A slow smile spread across Eleanor's shimmering face. "Captain, I like the way you think. Yes, we can generate anti-harmonic patterns, if we time it right. Their own drive signatures will react with the anti-harmonics," Martinez finished, catching on. "The spatial distortions they're creating will cascade back through their wake patterns." "Wong, get me a firing solution based on their wake trajectories," Sarah ordered. "Eleanor, we'll need precise timing between your colony's quantum fields and our ship's movements. Can your people coordinate that quickly enough?" "We've been practicing spatial harmonics for decades, Captain. Just tell us where you need the discordance." The next 20 minutes were a symphony of coordination between two very different approaches to space technology. The Stellar Horizons conventional systems were linked to Haven Colony's quantum network, creating a hybrid defense grid that neither group could have achieved alone. "First wave approaching," Wong announced. 3 ships, attack formation. They're charging what looks like energy weapons, but the signatures are strange. "Quantum-enhanced weaponry," Eleanor explained. "They're trying to bypass conventional shields by shifting the energy beams partially out of phase." "Too bad we're not using conventional shields," Sarah replied. "Execute defense pattern alpha." The space around the colony erupted in a complex web of quantum distortions as Haven's engineers generated precisely calculated anti-harmonic frequencies. The stellar horizon moved through predetermined points in space, its presence creating additional distortion patterns that combined with the colony's quantum fields. The attacking ships flew straight into what appeared to be empty space, and chaos erupted. Their wake patterns, already unstable from their aggressive fold space drives, interacted with the carefully orchestrated quantum distortions. Space itself seemed to shudder as the cascade effect took hold. "First ship's drive system is failing," Wong reported, excitement creeping into his voice. "Their fold space field is collapsing. Second ship showing similar symptoms. Third ship attempting to reverse course, but the cascade effect is spreading through their wake pattern." On the tactical display, Sarah watched as the attacking ship's sophisticated drive systems became their undoing. Unable to maintain their partial phase shift, They snapped back into normal spacetime, their engines dead, weapons powerless. Remaining ships are falling back, Martins announced. Their drive signatures are chaotic. I don't think they can maintain full space compression anymore. The Void remembers, Eleanor said quietly. They thought they could force their way through spacetime without consequences. Now they've learned otherwise. Sarah turned to her newfound ally. They'll be back. And next time, they'll be better prepared. Yes, Eleanor agreed. But so will we. What you've just done, Captain, combining conventional space operations with quantum harmonics, it's never been attempted before. You've shown us that there might be a middle ground between our approach and traditional human technology. Speaking of technology, Martinez interrupted, his voice urgent. Captain, you need to see these readings. The quantum wake distortions we created, they're not dissipating as quickly as they should. They're evolving somehow. Eleanor rushed to his station, her form flickering more intensely as she studied the data. This is impossible. The distortion patterns are self-organizing. The void isn't just responding to the harmonics anymore. It's learning from them. Sarah felt a chill run down her spine. What exactly are you saying? I'm saying we may have just discovered something far more significant than a way to defend ourselves, Eleanor replied. Captain, I think we've accidentally proven that space-time itself might be conscious. The implications of that statement hung in the air as both crews watched the quantum distortions continue to shift and change, forming patterns that defy both conventional physics and Haven's quantum theories. They had won this battle, but in doing so, they might have stumbled upon something that would change humanity's understanding of the universe forever. Well, Sarah said after a long moment, I guess we'd better figure out how to communicate with it before our attackers do. The laboratory aboard Haven Colony hummed with activity as humans from both crews worked side by side, conventional equipment interfacing with quantum-engineered systems in ways neither group had imagined possible before. Dr. Martinez stood at the central console, watching in fascination as Eleanor manipulated quantum fields with gestures that seemed almost like conducting music. There, Eleanor said, adjusting a final harmonic. Watch this pattern here. She pointed to a swirling visualization of space-time distortions that filled the main display. Sarah leaned forward, her eyes narrowing. It's responding to us, isn't it? Those patterns, they're not random. Not just responding, Martinez added, checking readings from their hybrid sensor array. It's initiating contact. Look at these frequency modulations. They're perfectly synchronized with our quantum probe signals, but they're introducing new variables we didn't program. Eleanor's form shimmered with excitement. Space-time isn't just a passive medium. It's an active, adaptive system. We've been treating it like a canvas to paint on, but it's more like an ocean we're swimming in. An ocean that's aware of its swimmers. And right now, Sarah added grimly, there are sharks in that ocean. The tactical display showed the regrouping enemy fleet at the edge of their sensor range. They're not giving up. They're studying what we did, adapting their approach. Then we adapt faster, Eleanor replied. She waved her hand, and the laboratory's quantum field projectors created a three-dimensional model of the space around the colony. Look at how the void's responding to different frequencies. It's not just echoing our inputs. It's offering alternatives. Martinez's eyes widened as he processed the data. These patterns, they're like optimized versions of our defensive harmonics. The void is showing us how to do it better. More than that, Sarah realized, watching the shifting patterns, it's showing us how space-time wants to be shaped. All this time, we've been either forcing our way through it or trying to work around it. But it's been waiting for someone to just ask. Eleanor nodded, her expression thoughtful. The quantum harmonics we developed. We thought we were pioneering new technology, but maybe we were just learning to listen to something that's been trying to communicate since the beginning of time. The laboratory's sensors suddenly erupted with new data as the void's patterns shifted dramatically. Wang's voice came over the intercom. Captain, The enemy fleet is moving. They've modified their drive signatures, some kind of hybrid system we haven't seen before. They're learning too, Sarah muttered. How long until they reach us? At their current velocity, 3 hours. But these new drive signatures, they're not as destructive to spacetime. They're trying to copy our harmonic approach. Eleanor's form flickered with concern. Copying the form without understanding the principle. It's like learning to speak a language phonetically without knowing what the words mean. They might be able to reproduce some of our tricks, but they're missing the fundamental truth. Which is, Sarah prompted, that we're not alone out here. We never were. Eleanor gestured at the swirling patterns of quantum energy around them. Spacetime isn't just conscious. It's been waiting for someone to evolve enough to notice. And now that we have, as if in response to her words, the void's patterns shifted again, this time forming structures that looked eerily like the neural networks of a human brain. Data flooded their sensors as spacetime itself seemed to reach out to them, offering information in ways that merged perfectly with both Haven's quantum systems and the Stellar Horizon's conventional technology. It's not just showing us defensive patterns. Martins breathed, his fingers flying over his console as he processed the incoming data. It's showing us how everything connects. Quantum mechanics, gravity, dark energy. They're all part of the same system, all aspects of the same consciousness. The ultimate unified theory, Eleanor agreed, not discovered through mathematics alone, but through direct communication with spacetime itself. Sarah watched as her crew and Haven's engineers worked together, human ingenuity combining with this new understanding to create something unprecedented. Conventional sensors were being modified to detect quantum fluctuations they'd never been able to see before. Haven's quantum harmonics were being refined to work in perfect synchronization with the void's natural patterns. They're entering weapons range, Wong reported. They're weapons, Captain. They're trying to use quantum harmonics as weapons, but the patterns are all wrong. They're creating distortions in their own drive fields. Because they're still trying to dominate spacetime instead of working with it, Eleanor explained. They haven't realized that force isn't the answer. Sarah straightened, her decision made. Then let's show them another way. Eleanor, can we broadcast quantum harmonics on all frequencies? Not as a weapon, but as a demonstration. Like a universal translation key, Martine is caught on. Show them what real communication with the void looks like. We can, Eleanor confirmed, but it's risky. Once they understand what we've discovered, they'll have to make the same choice we did. Sarah finished. Learn to listen, or keep trying to force their way through. And I have a feeling the void itself might have something to say about that choice. As the combined crews prepared their response to the approaching fleet, Sarah couldn't help but smile at the irony. Humanity had spent centuries looking for alien intelligence among the stars, never realizing that space itself was the intelligence they'd been seeking all along. The void between stars wasn't empty. It was the most ancient consciousness of all, and humanity had finally learned to listen. The void erupted in a symphony of quantum harmonics as the Stellar Horizon and Haven Colony broadcast their message. Space itself seemed to resonate with their transmission, amplifying and carrying it far beyond what their systems alone could achieve. The approaching fleet, weapons primed and drives humming with destructive energy, suddenly found themselves surrounded by patterns of light and energy that defied their understanding. They're receiving the transmission, Wong reported from his station. Their weapons are powered, but they're not firing. I think they're trying to analyze the patterns. Let them look, Eleanor said, her quantum-engineered form now perfectly still as she focused on maintaining the harmonic broadcast. They need to understand what they're really dealing with. Sarah watched the tactical display as the enemy ships held position, their modified drive systems creating increasingly erratic patterns in spacetime. Their drives are destabilizing. They can't maintain their aggressive approach while spacetime itself is trying to communicate with them. Martinez's console erupted with new data. Captain, the void's response is, it's exponential. The patterns we're broadcasting, They're being reflected and enhanced by space-time itself. It's not just carrying our message, it's adding its own. The laboratory's displays filled with cascading waves of quantum information as space-time itself seemed to come alive around them. The enemy fleet's signatures shifted, their drive patterns changing as they were forced to adapt or risk tearing themselves apart. "They're powering down their weapons," Wong announced, surprise evident in his voice. "Drive signatures are. They're attempting to match our harmonic patterns. They're trying to stabilize." Eleanor nodded approvingly. "They're learning. Finally. You can't fight space-time itself, not when it's trying to teach you something." The main display showed the enemy ships adjusting their positions, their previously aggressive formation dissolving into something more organic, more in tune with the natural flow of space-time around them. A communication request flashed across their screens. "Put them through," Sarah ordered. The face that appeared on their screen was surprisingly human, though marked by cybernetic enhancements that suggested a different approach to adaptation than Haven's quantum engineering. "This is Commander Revik of the Progressive Evolution Fleet," he announced, his voice carrying both authority and uncertainty. What have you done? What is this?" "We haven't done anything," Eleanor replied calmly. "We've simply learned to listen. The void, space-time itself, has been trying to communicate with us all along. Your aggressive drive systems, your attempts to weaponize quantum mechanics, you were so focused on domination that you couldn't hear what it was trying to tell you." Revik's enhanced eyes narrowed. "You expect me to believe that space itself is conscious, that it's trying to talk to us?" "Look at your own sensor readings, Commander," Sarah interjected. "Your drives were tearing holes in space-time, but instead of retaliating, it showed you a better way. Those harmonics you're copying now, they're not weapons or shields. They're a language, the oldest language in the universe." As if to emphasize her point, new patterns emerged in the space between their ships. The void itself was demonstrating principles of quantum mechanics that neither side had fully understood, showing how all their technologies, Haven's harmonics, the Progressive Fleet's drive systems, even conventional space travel, were all part of the same universal dance. "This changes everything," Revik murmured, his cybernetic implants processing the data streams. "All our research into quantum mechanics, our drive to evolve beyond current human limitations, doesn't have to stop," Eleanor finished for him. "But it can take a different path. One of cooperation rather than conquest. Haven Colony has spent decades learning to work with space-time rather than against it. We've evolved too, but not through force." Martinez's console chimed again. "Captain, the void's patterns, they're stabilizing into something new. I think it's creating a permanent quantum network between all our ships, like it's trying to show us how to stay connected." Sarah studied the readings, a smile forming on her face. "Not just connected, unified. It's showing us how all our different approaches to space travel and human advancement can work together. Commander Revik, I have a proposal for you." The next few hours saw the beginning of something unprecedented in human history. The Progressive Evolution Fleet, with their cybernetic advancements and drive for change, began working with Haven's quantum engineers and the Stellar Horizon's conventional but proven technology. The void itself seemed to guide their collaboration, its conscious patterns helping them bridge gaps in understanding that might have taken decades to cross otherwise. "It's remarkable," Eleanor observed, watching as crews from all three factions worked together in Haven's laboratories. "We all took different paths trying to advance humanity, but space-time itself showed us how those paths could converge." Sarah nodded, seeing how her own crew was adapting to these new revelations. The void wasn't empty after all. It was waiting for us to evolve enough to notice it was there. "And now we're ready for the next step," Revik added, his cybernetic systems now tuned to work in harmony with Haven's quantum fields. "There are more fleets out there, more factions all trying to force their way through space. They need to learn what we've discovered here." "They will," Sarah assured him. "The void itself will help us show them. This is more than just a revolution in space travel or human evolution. It's the beginning of a true unified theory of everything. Not just the physics, but the consciousness behind it. As they spoke, the quantum network continued to grow, space-time itself helping to carry their discovery to other ships, other colonies, other humans searching for advancement among the stars. The void between stars had never been empty. It had been full of potential, waiting for humanity to learn how to listen. In the years that followed, this discovery would change everything. Human expansion into space would no longer be a matter of conquest or mere survival, but a dance of cooperation with the very fabric of the universe. Haven colonies' quantum engineering, the progressive fleet's cybernetic evolution, and conventional human technology would all find their place in this new understanding, creating a future that none of them could have imagined alone. The void had given humanity its greatest gift, not just knowledge or power, but understanding. And in return, humanity had finally learned to listen to the stars.